Today, we're looking at Noodler's Qin Shi Huang. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. Now, Noodler's Qin Shi Huang is a magenta ink. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples, I put the ink into a different pen per day, I then put it into a Pierre Cardin President with a medium nib to take my notes for this video. Now, before we get to the writing samples, let's look at the sciencey bits. Up first is the chromatography, and I agree with Vita that I've learned a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done, and it really looks like a chromatography upside down. Normally you see it press its way and become darker at the top, but here it's darker at the bottom and just pushing away its lighter tones. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes before I dunk it into water. And it looks the same. They both have the same dark magenta line at the bottom. They both have the same light magenta pinkish tone that's pushing its way up. And they both look like a chromatography upside down. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on a page, and more importantly, how hard it might be to clean from your pen. Now, I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, I was very surprised how this went looking at the chromatography. It really became blurry. I was quite shocked with that. I wouldn't want to use this in a note-taking situation because of how blurry the G and the H became. It really did move much more than expected. And especially when we look at what goes on with the resistance test. Water, it barely noticed that water was there. Look at pen flush. Pen flush only removed the absolute darkest of the tones but left everything else behind. Now both of those are only 30 seconds. And look at the bleach. The bleach, while it's killing most of this ink, there's still quite a bit left. There's quite a bit of a pinkish tone still there. Bleach is not completely removing it from the paper. Now, I did have to use a 1/3 bleach solution to get this out of my pen. It did take me using a 1/3 bleach solution 2 times to get this out of my pen. And then I flushed it with water quite a bit to make sure I didn't rust the metal parts. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Noodler's Qin Shi Huang has a viscosity of 1.17. Holy moly! Viscosity of 1 is water. This is a super wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done with the extra fine and medium nib on Clairefontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. For the inks I've tested, I've found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with the realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Noodler's Qin Shi Huang has an average dry time of 21 seconds, which is remarkable considering it's probably the wettest ink I have ever used. And it does stay in normal and at the very highest side of normal. It's really an oddly behaving ink. Now, let's look at the writing samples. I picked this ink up in sample form, and to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairefontaine. We got some bleed spots with the 1.1 stub. Other than that, we have no bleeding and we have no ghosting, but there's definitely some spotting at the 1.1. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 16 seconds to dry. The medium has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, or shade, 20 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both shows no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. And the smear test, you probably would be able to recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Tomoe River. Man, that's nice. Look at that, though. Look at what's going on. It is sinking really deep
into this page. This is a little more aggressive in ink than you might want sometimes. So we do get some bleeding, not all the way through. Definitely very deep into the page. Lots of ghosting. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 21 seconds to dry. The medium is the exact same tone with no feather, spread, halo sheen, or shade, 29 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. The smear test, yes, you could recover this, and part of it for being so aggressive. Rhodia, I'm seeing spotting. I see a spot there, and I see a couple spots here. But when I took my notes, I used a Pierre Cardin. It's a medium nib. It does tend to be a little wetter, but look at the spotting. Look at how different that is from my test pens to another pen. So this is definitely a much more aggressive ink than it appears in the writing samples. That's why I like to have writing samples that are consistent, but I like to use my inks in other pens and really see how it goes. It's valuable information. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the same tone as the 1.1. It has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, 18 seconds to dry. The medium has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade, the exact same tone, 23 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We did not expect it. We didn't get it in the smear test. You could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. Yellow Rhodia, what does a yellow background do to it? Now the thing is, on the yellow Rhodia, I got no bleeding. I do have minor, no real ghosting. Minor, you can see it a little bit, but not too bad. Here's the thing that is so beautiful in this ink. Look at how consistent that is. The yellow background did nothing for this. Now, unfortunately, it's such an aggressive ink because I like this color. I think you just make sure you know you're not using the back of the page, and I would put an underpage, because I think the color is amazing. I haven't had any issues with it in my pens. I haven't dealt with any of that kinds of stuff. So that is not a problem for me. Try this spot with my mic. Hey, that's a little better. The 1.1 has no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone as the 1.1 with no feather, spread, halo sheen, no shade. 18 seconds to dry. The medium is the exact same tone as the 1.1 and the extra fine. No feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 23 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it. We didn't get it. In the smear test, yes, you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. So Levenger paper. Now, Levenger paper got this ink completely under control. We got no bleeding at all. We got no ghosting. Much better. It's a thicker paper. The 1.1 is no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade. The extra fine is the exact same tone with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 12 seconds to dry. The medium, the exact same tone again. This is that boring that I love. It is gorgeous to look at. Boring, predictable, beautiful. The medium is the exact same tone as the extra fine with no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 14 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't expect it, and we didn't get it. And the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing. We go to White Lines paper, which has had its problems in the past, and this is a bit more of an aggressive ink. Lots of bleed. No, we did not actually make it all the way through the page. We did not touch the page underneath. You could not use the back of this page. The 1.1 has spread, has feather, no halo, sheen, or shade, lots of feathering. Man, ew. Ew. But we see that sometimes when we find an ink that's a bit more aggressive. The extra fine has the exact same tone as the 1.1. The extra fine has no feather, spread, halo, sheen, no shade, 10 seconds to dry. The medium gives us the exact same tone as the extra fine. The medium has no spread, but it has tiny little feathers all over it. So when it goes down a little heavier, feathers. It's what we're seeing. Maybe a very dry pen. I just sort of grab whatever pen is next when I'm writing my notes. So I'm not selecting a pen to bring out its best qualities. If I was to ever revisit some of these inks in the, later on, I might go and try and select particular pens that can draw out their best quality. I just don't know about putting that sort of time into figuring it out. Because, man, that can be a pain. And I generally don't have enough. I mean, you look, there's about a milliliter left. But that's not enough to go ink a bunch of pens to find the right pen. The medium has that feathering, no halo, sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both show us no color variation. We didn't get any color variation. In the smear test, you could definitely recover this if you smeared while you were writing, and that is all that I have for the writing sample.
Instead of finding inks that look like Noodler's Qin Shi Huang, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I've chosen Noodler's Gruene Cactus because that is a fantastic green with this magenta. Before I give my opinion on this ink, I would ask, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if it's your first time here, I would invite you to subscribe. So what do I think of Noodler's Qin Shi Huang? This color is beautiful and vibrant. And if you want a really permanent ink to use instead of a red, this could be it. This is absolutely amazing. Other than its permanence, it has no other standout qualities. But I do have to warn you that with a wetter pen, that Pierre Cardin is a wetter pen, and I did experience quite a bit of bleeding while taking my notes. So I would use a finer, drier pen if you were using this, especially with some cheaper papers. But its permanence is great. Its color, amazing. Thanks for watching.